Welcome back to the 12th man. Delighted to be joined by Christy Barnaby, fellow Maiden City coach and hardcore United fan.
It's like, yeah.
Probably not the best time to coming on. You probably
No.
you were trying to get on a few weeks ago, but fair play to you for coming on. United's not obviously had a bit of a dip, but still in a decent position in the league. One of the reasons I was actually looking forward to having you on, Christy, as well was obviously you've got experience with Jose Mourinho, so we're going to be talking a lot about him today. Spurs had a very disappointing result yesterday. Had a very disappointing run of form in the season. So we're going to be getting a good chat about that. Going to be looking at Liverpool. Really good performance yesterday. Mo Salah, I guess 90 Premier League goals now in such a short space of time. I think it was Ryan Giggs or something. There was a comparison there. He took it hundreds of more games to score the goals he did. Not that I compare the two, but just to put it in the perspective. How well he's doing as the most important in that front three. And we're also going to be looking at your team as well, Man United. I think Roy Keane said on Saturday they look frightened of a title challenge. So I'm going to put that we're going to put that to the test today, and then we're going to looking forward to the midweek games, and we're going to get a few predictions in there as well. So, Christy, last night, really actually the whole weekend I actually enjoyed the football.
It was good to get it, like.
I said the good thing during the week was Spurs weren't on to the very end, so at least it wasn't going to be on a Saturday sulking. You know what? I seen this result coming. I actually said on here a draw, but I just didn't see Spurs winning this game. I just felt there was something missing completely in the team, and they looked very unhappy, and the way they lost to Liverpool, all right, it concerned me. But going into the game, I said, at least it's on last. It won't ruin my weekend. Good. But as the day went on, I was sort of dreading the game, and I'm usually looking forward to the game. But I just knew, there's too many Brighton. The fact they had more at home and all, I just need to be pumped up and thought this is going to be a great opportunity.
It's the same. It's the same as myself. When we went tonight there with Sheffield United, I called it. I thought we're dropping points. They haven't won an away game, bottom of the league. It's definitely it's going to drop points. So it's the same sort of perspective you had yourself going under the game.
One thing I would say about United one, it was a bit more of a shock in terms of United were, I know they maybe had a couple of games where they come from behind, they won, but they run a decent run of results and stuff. Whereas Spurs are really struggling, and
big time.
As the game kicked closer, I was sort of, oh god, and then see the way they started the game. I said this is a joke. Like I said, we're gonna serious trouble. Concede the goal, and the performance in general was really really bad. So just to get on it, before we chat about Mourinho and stuff, what did you make of the Spurs performance? Well, I mean, for they maybe lacked fight, lacked intensity, stuff they didn't want to be there. And I mean, you through the game, I can't think of too many chances at all. There was one shot from Vinicius, so keeper made a save. Apart from that, there wasn't much. And we're talking about a team that hasn't won a game at home all season. Brighton are a notoriously open team. They tend to be decent on the ball, play good football, and they don't put chances away, which you seen yesterday. They could have won 2 or 3-0. They couldn't really complain, but generally their strengths are attacking, not defense. So the fact that they kept a clean sheet, and it was quite easy for them. I never thought at any time they were in any real danger. So what did you make of the Spurs performance? And what went so wrong for them?
I think I want to come away from this whole topic of a Mourinho performance. It wasn't a Mourinho performance yesterday. As you say, there was no intensity of the players. It's as if as you say, the players didn't want to be there. They were sort of fought per game and went on Thursday night against Liverpool. We were nearly expected to bounce back, but they weren't properly motivated for it themselves. It's nearly as they thought, what a cruise control. As you say, it's only Brighton in a sense. You know what I mean? However, the Premier League doesn't work like that anymore.
No, you see, that's the thing too. I don't think Mourinho would have allowed that going under, and there's no way he would have, especially the forms. Like I was just saying today, looking at Spurs have only got 9 points in their last 9 Premier League games, 2 wins, 3 draws, and 4 defeats. So even
is that a typical Mourinho team? Is that a typical Mourinho team?
No, it's not.
They react when he comes in.
You think so, wouldn't you? But you think as well that Mourinho teams are notoriously hard to beat. The one thing he prides himself on is defensively being sound, but they were so open yesterday. It's as if because as I said, there's a lack of effort, lack of intensity. The defense looked all wrong, and the midfield looked so easy to play against. And you say it wasn't a Mourinho type of performance. So what do you put that down to?
Maybe if you look at the game against Liverpool, how they played going forward in the first 20 minutes, they were well. However, as the game went on, they weren't. So he might have thought of training then. It's such a short space of time between the Thursday game and the Sunday game. Yeah. So he might have only focused on a few things as a coach, coming from a coach. You know, ourselves, you think yourself, if your team's lost a game, right, how am I going to try and make sure they don't lose the exact same way?
Yep.
So you might have focused on attacking and not overload with his defence. And you might have them boys like robots, like defence, and when they're defending, and when they don't defend for a period of time in the training, they might not be focused on their task at hand. And you've Eric Dyer centre half too. So
well, he didn't actually play. He's actually dropped yesterday. But hey, one thing I would say, right, is you go back.
Maybe that was a problem, guy. Leadership.
I know you go back.
Leadership.
You go back 2 months, right? Spurs weren't conceding any goals. They looked all right. They weren't. I don't think they were blowing teams away, but they looked very solid. And Kane and Son were doing the business, and they had not that they had. I wasn't dying about the style of play, as a lot of people, aren't a big fan of Mourinho's way, but it was getting results, and at least I could see what he was trying to do. Keep it tight, and then try and spring the counter attack. You look at the last few games; they look all over the place at the back, chopping and changing the team quite a lot. There's room. There's Dele. He's falling out with Dele Alli. He's falling out with Aurier now.
You seen a repetition?
Do you sort of see? I know. Do you sort of see the same signs now of how it ends at United the way it does at Spurs?
It's a sort of thing. You look when Mourinho came on at Spurs. You look when he came on at United. The team responded to Jose Mourinho being their manager, and he would instantly. Jose Mourinho, one of the greats, the special, coming on as your manager. Most of them boys are 20, 23. They watched him on TV, call himself a special one. They're running up a sideline for Porto against United. They've all watched him. So that reaction, I want to impress. And Dele being one of them players, Dele is all about his social status.
You think as well when last season when he came on, Dele was on a really good. He sort of transformed Dele back into some good form and stuff. Obviously,
and you watch the documentary on Prime as well, and you would see it. Dele, yes, they fell out on it. You can see it. However, as you say, Dele was very much the main man for Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
But it's the same as when he came on with United with Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba was his main man, and then there's a falling out over something. And it's the same sort of thing. Maybe they want to impress him, and then a couple of months down the line, they realise, no, I'm not liking his hoof a ball off a pitch or sit behind the ball, defensive style of play. And he has he has a certain style of play, and maybe there's always the arguments as his style of play in the past. I personally think his style of play is international style of play of football. He'd be an excellent international manager right now.
Ireland, however, Republic of Ireland, suit him big time.
Without a doubt, guy. The David McGoldrick, and that's it.
When I first thing I want to say, right, is I looked at the game on Thursday, right, and I seen the team line up, and I thought, why is he playing 5 at the back against a vulnerable Liverpool team?
I've seen your status.
Then yesterday, 5 at the back against Brighton. Why is he playing Sissoko right back? A lot of questions at the moment, and you know what? It's the first time I've seen him on the touchline looking deflated again. You know the way he looked at United yesterday. He looked deflated. He looked like he looked like he's running out of ideas type of thing.
That's just what they say. It looks like he's done plan A, done plan B, done plan C, and now, as you say, why is he playing Sissoko right back?
Sissoko right back. He's dropped Dyer. He's dropped Alderweireld before that. He's dropped Sissoko. He's brought Sissoko back in. He's playing with a centre midfielder at right back. He's got the 3 at the back. The 3 at the 5. I call it a 5 at the back because there's a 5 at the back. There's 2 full backs. It's just wing backs. It's different if you're playing Hudson. Like Tuchel's playing Hudson-Odoi right wing back. He's an attacking player. We're playing with Sissoko and Davis. So they need 5 at the back. You're playing with Højbjerg on there, who he's an defensive player. So and then the goalkeeper, you're 7 players, 7 defensive-minded players. So very defensive system. And you think only Brighton. Yes, I can understand maybe being a bit cautious because of the run of form run. But for being so defensive in your selection lineup, be so easy to play against is very concerning. And I put that down to lack of effort, as I said, lack of intensity. But do you think that the players have sort of now they've lost belief in the style up because they've had a few bad results? And it's great when you're winning, and you might not like the style of play, but if it's getting you results, you might sort of stick to it. But the fact that they're on this bad run of form now, and I seen yesterday, like there was one stage yesterday, I think they highlighted it in Sky Sports, Bergwijn just let McAllister run past him, whereas 2 minutes before he tracked Reece James all the way back at Stamford Bridge in the 90th minute. So that's not down to fitness, that's just down to lack of care, lack of effort. And I even look at someone like Højbjerg yesterday, who is a proper throwback player, a really big fan of him, but even he looked off the ball and even looked like he wasn't giving his all. And Ndombele was back to the old Ndombele, sulking about. Son looked completely, anomalous up front. And it is starting to look like it's going to be a similar story for Mourinho, isn't it?
It does. It seems like it's just going to go down the same way of Mourinho is going to fight with players, going to finish back per in the league. They might back him in the summer again. They might, but then come Christmas, he'll be away, and it seems that's just the way it's going to be.
At the moment, Christy, I think you're being very generous in terms of maybe getting to the end of the season. At the moment, the run of form they're on, this has to change the next few games for me. I don't think. And the thing that's worked against them here is this cup final been pushed back to April. I mean, he can't go 3 months. He can't go 3 months without getting form in the league. He's going to have to try and see the way people sort of been very critical on Facebook. Were asking me, they're wanting me to go get Mourinho out, and you know what, I'm like you. Obviously, being a coach, I find it very difficult to say stuff like that. And I was not a big fan of Mourinho coming on to start because of how it went.
I never wanted him United either. So
how it went at them clubs. So But when he comes on, I'm fully behind him, and I'm behind him to the very end. Do you know what I mean? And I'll never sort of sit now and go with Chelsea now on Thursday. Oh, geez, I hope we lose to get him out. I'm not like that at all. I'm behind the team all the time. And you know what? If I wake up someday and he's not there, then I'll understand the decision why and I'll move on. But until that happens, I'm fully behind him. And I go into every game. I want him to do well because that means the team do well. So But at the moment, it's a big spell for him. I think Chelsea on Thursday looked rejuvenated. I've seen the 2 games against Burnley and Wolves. Against what they dominated the 2 teams. I know they're 2 defensive teams, but Spurs are going to be playing a very similar way now. And I'm very fearful. I think Chelsea could really do put 3 or 4 passes, and it's going to be hard for them to come back from it, I think.
I think Chelsea have a statement to make.
Yeah.
Yes, the first game they were always going to draw because it was just the new manager's first game.
Yep.
Second game they had to go out and win. They struggled to start with, but all new teams struggle under the new manager, because they're trying to get his new ways. But the statement will have to be made against Spurs. However, it could also be a statement from Mourinho. It's always that connection towards Chelsea, but I think that connection's now gone. He's been there twice. So the connection's
I think
gone.
the Chelsea fans don't like him at all.
No.
Another thing too, when a manager needs a bit of backing and a bit of time from the fans, Mourinho's not going to get that at Spurs. The fans didn't really want him in the first place. He's got that Chelsea past.
But I think he has the backing from Daniel Levy. I think he has the back. I think it's because Mourinho can produce. Mourinho can produce silverware, and it's what Spurs need. As a fan and as a club, and is your cup final. As you say, if his cup final had been standard, it would have been this Sunday. Normal cup finals the first.
I think it was 3 weeks time. 3 weeks time.
Normally it's in February. And as you say, it being pushed back. They were probably thinking Mourinho's going to win this. I know it's Mourinho. He's a cup final man. However, as you say, the league has to be answered for. Spurs need to be in Champions League football next year.
I agree, Christy, 100%. And I think as well, where the fans were very, they loved this Pochettino, and they loved, he would always get back, time from the fans, and even towards the end, some fans still thought he deserved more time. And I wanted him to badly succeed because of the association with Spurs and everything he did with Spurs, but I understood the decision at the end. And in these next couple of results, if they don't go for Spurs, like I would, if I woke up and seen he was gone, I would understand why as well. And Levy is a big fan of Mourinho. Going back years ago when he left Chelsea the first time, I think Levy tried to get him, and obviously Mourinho's stock was higher back then, and he had our clubs were after him and stuff.
As you say, I think this is an opportunity for Mourinho to go to Spurs. Poch has built himself a good squad, and Mourinho's there to say, I can win trophies. And it's nearly to uplift his career again, because as you say, back in, Levy might have wanted him, but he couldn't get him because Mourinho, 1, costed too much, and 2, was a high profile manager.
Yeah.
And it's, and I'm not saying he's not a high profile manager now. I'm saying is, if you're a team looking for a manager, Arsenal are constantly looking for managers, and the league rate is constantly linked to every single team that is opened up, for a manager, and Mourinho was never in the question for teams that went out and lost their managers anymore. He's always linked to Real Madrid. But sure, everybody think there, as you say, he chose him this time because I don't think Daniel Levy chose Mourinho. I think Mourinho chose Spurs.
I agree. And you know what as well? See when I think about it as well, you look back at United and Chelsea, the players got him the sack towards the end, and you look at these last two performances, Spurs players, everyone I've talked to is like they look like down tools. So I think this game on Wednesday against Chelsea would earn the same amount of points as Spurs as well. So they would go ahead of them with 3 points if they won, and they'd be looking. I think they're 6 points off the top four. If that was to go to 9 points, and Levy as well. He loved Pochettino, and he still pulled the plug on him. And I think as well that Levy is he'll do what's right for the club, even though if he isn't
he's a businessman. He's a businessman.
And I think as well, Spurs, maybe they're not as bad as Chelsea, but they're not like Arsenal or United. I think they pull the plug a lot out of the managers as well. You think about Pochettino, AVB, Harry Redknapp, they pulled the plug on them at times as well. So it wouldn't shock me if we go 3-3, if there was another few bad results. Spurs.
My question to you, Gary. Mourinho sacked in 3 games time. Who do you bring on?
Oh, there's only one man for me. Like I would go for only one man I could think of, and he's at another Premier League club. I'll give you a guess.
Obviously, bring on Pep, like enough.
No, I can't get Pep. Like, I have to be realistic. And he's at another Premier League club. That's my hand. Only one man I would go for. He's a former Liverpool and Celtic manager. If that gives you a hand.
No, you wouldn't take him, would you?
Rodgers would be my number one target if it doesn't work out with Mourinho. It'd be my only target I would go for. I think you look at what he done at Liverpool with that team. He was very unlucky not to win the league. Think about that, Gerrard. I think it was quite naive. The Gerrard slip obviously was a big thing, but it's very naive, and Mourinho outdone him on the day with the tactics. I think he's a better manager. I think he's a better manager than he was in. I think he looked at Leicester, what he's done with Leicester. It's really impressive. It's an hour thing. Would he leave? He might think Leicester's going places.
Look, the way I look at it, Brendan Rodgers doesn't have a tie or anything to any clubs. He has no, he doesn't. When Mourinho goes to the club, he wears the club's badge on his sleeve. I'm not saying Brendan Rodgers doesn't. Obviously a manager wants to make the team better.
Yep.
But you look where he was at with Celtic. He was 10 in a row. He was quadruple treble. He walked away from all that. He could have wrote his name in stars. But he's seen the opportunity at Leicester.
He's seen an opportunity at Leicester, and that was the thing. And he thought, if I don't take this,
he's not going to get his chance in the Prem again. So it's the same sort of thing with Spurs. He might think, right, the budget might be a wee bit better at Spurs. I'm not saying the facilities aren't going to be better. It's a Premier League club. They're all world class. However,
well, I think Spurs' new facilities are up there with the best of the stadium, but I know what you mean.
He might weigh it up and think, no, even if I go through a bad run at Leicester, they're going to still support me. Where 4 games bad, the fans turn, you get Spurs, Daniel Levy turns,
You know what it does? Do you know what it does, Christy, as well? I wouldn't just say that. When teams go through bad runs of form, Spurs did it for each first season. Spurs there was bad results, bad performance. There's bad runs of form, and even through them years, he always had spells. But there was a style of play, an identity. They created chances. They might have been unlucky in games. With Mourinho, there's none of that at the moment. It's bad.
And that's why Frank Lampard gets sacked.
And I think you look at Leicester, even when they lose games, there's an identity. There's a way they're going about it. You can see that they'll, they've had a bad day, but they'll bounce back. At the moment, with Mourinho, when it goes wrong and the team starts conceding goals, it's almost like the beginning and the end. I think because he prides himself on that defensive structure. Mourinho's teams aren't notorious for wiping the floor with teams. He's not going to turn around there and go, right, boys, let's go out. That's not going to happen. So
no.
So if the team's conceding
I can see what you mean by identity, and why you would pick Brendan Rodgers, because you remember back to Swansea days, and they got Swansea up in the Premier League, and they're passing. Michel Forman was passing it from the back, and straight on I can't remember if he was front for United at the time, but United scored and won the game like 1-0 or something, and he came out and said, it's not a mistake. He needs to just make sure he doesn't do it again. He needs to keep trying, passing out from the back. And as you say, it's the identity of the manager that attracts him. Why he supports the fans. As you say, Mourinho has one way.
Yeah.
And if that one way doesn't work, then the players will not start believing, and then the fans will just stop in. And that's why Frank Lampard got sacked. Frank Lampard didn't have an identity.
I agree. You can see in 2 games what Tuchel's trying to do with that team. In 2 games, do you know what I mean? You can see what he's doing. Possession, loads of possession, quick play. They have a way of playing, and that's only going to get better with more game time. But see as well with Mourinho, his team selections now are starting to concern me, because Mourinho teams when they're going well pick themselves. You can sort of name his team. 2 months ago, you could have named that Spurs team before the lineup come out. Now you haven't got a clue what formation he's going to play, who's going to play. It's all over us, and that does that, and it's
I've been there, guy. I've been there.
exactly, and that's the thing with Mourinho. I think our managers, you can like if Rodgers is going through a bad spell or a Pochettino, you can go right. It's a new thing for them, but with Mourinho, you look back at our clubs, it's the same things happening over and over again. So that's why I'm getting worried now. And I would love to be sitting here on Friday and doing my podcast and like showing Spurs have beat Chelsea and they great performance. Nothing more than that. But I don't have any confidence, and I do think this is going to be the beginning of the end, unfortunately. And
I know what you mean now.
A lot of people have been saying to me, what do you think about, if you look at the managers in the Premier League this year, there's not been as many sacked. Is that down to COVID? Is that down to finances? But I think Spurs
it's tough to know.
Spurs are Levy's the type of boy that if he doesn't think it's going well, he'll find the money somewhere and pay him off, like, and get somebody in. But and it doesn't have to be. It might not get Rodgers. They might not get Rodgers. Might say, look, even if he wants it, they might say, look, I don't want it until the end of the season.
Yep.
But just on Rodgers, I think. See, when you say about leaving Celtic or Leicester, I don't think he could have walked into a top 6 club in England, and Leicester was sort of the next best.
No.
So he had to prove himself to get to that next club.
Yep.
So I always think Rodgers is going to use Leicester as a stepping stone anyway in our club. So
yep.
It's interesting to see what happens if Spurs go for him, if Mourinho was to get the sack. But even if
he was always like the Arsenal, it was like the Arsenal when Wenger was going to walk away, and he was constantly going. It was him or Eddie Howe at the time, you remember?
Yeah.
And it was always, Brendan Rodgers, is he going to get his chance at the big club again after Liverpool? As you say, Leicester went and won the league, so Leicester were still keeping themselves up there after winning the league. As you say, they were like 10 years ago Everton. They were next best thing. They the top 4. That's what they are at the minute.
I agree, and they're up there. They're a new training ground coming. The owners are very, supportive with money. So Rodgers might feel that he's in the right place. They progress as a club, and he's at a club that is progressing. And they mean now everyone looks at Leicester as a top 6 game. You know what I mean? You go to Leicester, you expect a tough game, and they're almost in that bracket now with the top 6. And I
easy for Leeds.
I was a great result for Leeds yesterday. I thought Leeds rather luck at times. They were brilliant in the first half. Second half, they had 2 chances and took them. But I think Leicester will be up there fighting for top 4 again this year. And you might see it as an opportunity to stay there and build. But even if we had to get rid of Mourinho mid-season, because if you look at the next 3 to 4 games, they're bad results. Even give it the Eddie Keane until the end of the season. If you can't get your man into the summer, just try and be strong. They lift the morale of the team, because hey, see, if you ask me now, top 4 and lose that cup final, I'd take it all day of the week. See, or else go finish 10th or 12th in the league and won that cup final. To me, it's great to won cups, but if your league position is suffering because of it, it's not. Spurs need to be in European football at least. If they can't make a Champions League, they have to be in Europa League at minimum. So, no, that has to be the priority. And as I said, our Spurs fan last night, just because you're in a cup final, it doesn't mean your league form can be forgotten about. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So, and hey, it's a big risk to go into that cup final against Man City, who's been the best team in England this year. They go into that cup final and expect to beat them. City are flying at the minute, and if you look at, I know April's a few months away, but at the moment you wouldn't give Spurs a rat's chance of beating them in the final.
No, you would say Man City going to 4 past them.
Aye. But Christy, you obviously know the history of Mourinho, and you know how Daniel Levy operates. So, do you think this Chelsea game on Wednesday or on Thursday is huge for Mourinho? Because if the players put on our performance like that, how does he continue on really? And is there any sign it's going to improve?
The players need to think. It's hard. It's hard
just to clarify, I don't think, even if they lose on Thursday, I don't think he'll be sacked just on that. I don't think
he'll be sacked, but I think it's a make or break one.
I agree. I agree. Make or break. Yeah.
If he wins, happy days. He'll get himself another couple of months. He'll get himself to the cup final.
Unless you would think
it might motivate them. It might give them a wee bit of burst in their season. This is a season of none other. 2 weeks ago, United were going to win the league. They were 6 points ahead. They were about to go 9 points clear Liverpool, but now they're only 1 point clear. It's a season that we'll never get again. We'll never get again. And I think if Mourinho loses, if Spurs lose on against Chelsea, then that's he'll be 3 games away. But however, if he wins, he'll get himself. You would like to think it motivates the players, right? This actually worked, but it all comes down to.
After that, they put West Brom at home after that, chance to go and beat them, make it 2 in a row, and then left. I agree. I think it's a big game.
It all comes down to his team selection, guy. It comes down to his team selection.
He has to get
Like,
away
from a
the
player's
five at the back.
perspective, on Wednesday when he names a team, and Sissoko's playing right back again, or as you say, five at the back. Players think, why is he playing five at the back? Why is he playing a centre mid right? I probably was going to play five back against Chelsea. It's a Mourinho. He will. However, it's his midfield. He needs to get his midfield right. He needs to get his selection of his back five right. Dropping Dyer, I don't really like Dyer. I don't really like any English.
Probably our best defender still there.
It's for example, as much as I don't like Harry Maguire, it's a bit stupid for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to drop Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
However, the way
you do look at it too, Christy, and you think as well, right? That team selection yesterday, Kane's going to be out for the next 2 weeks. Why did he not play the big striker that he signed in the summer? Why he's destroyed his confidence. You're all mute. Christy.
So,
can you hear me? I was saying there, he's destroyed that striker's confidence. No, Vinicius.
Technical issues.
Oh, you're right. You're grand. What happens? No, he's destroyed that striker Vinicius' confidence. I think he had his start him yesterday. And he's been brought him on at half time. I think he has to play him there on Thursday, but his confidence is obviously low. I think he can understand maybe not playing when Kane's fit, but when Kane's not fit, he's still not playing. That's a big thing. Bale's been in the middle of the team. I know he's not been playing well, but I think he's lost Bale. I think he's completely lost Bale. I don't think Bale's playing from at all. Dele Alli's been completely sidelined. So he's limited in his options, I think, as well, and who you can trust. And you think about Dele Alli in that Amazon documentary. He seems like a big character in the dressing room. The players all seem to like him. Bale's obviously a big character himself, coming from Madrid. Aurier, these are international players like he's saying, like big names. So how do you? It's really important now that he tries to get the team all going in the one direction.
But you look at Ollie, and we have a constantly rotating.
Yeah.
And he's keeping. People are saying, what's made it different this year? They rotating around his players. With Mourinho, even at United, it doesn't rotate. It makes the same substitution every single time. Now, okay, will take Scott McTominay out and put Matic on. It's the same sort of job, Yeah. However, it's that rotation that keeps your squad happy. Yeah. And if you can keep your squad happy, it's not about keeping players. It's about the whole squad. If you can keep the whole squad happy.
I think this time, Christy, but when he is rotating, it's not rotating to give players rest and stuff. It's rotating because he's lost trust in that player, lost trust in this player. I'm going to give, it's not, it's top chopping and changing too much. And I think the defense now is completely, you have no confidence at all. So if you say team selection is going to be really, really important on Thursday.
Big time, massively important.
How do you see it going on Thursday against Chelsea?
I think Chelsea, it's going to be like 3-0, 3-1 Chelsea.
You think I see you don't have much confidence in Spurs.
No, God. But guys, because I've been where you are, I've been sitting thinking this is make or break for Mourinho, and you're like, boom, Mourinho pulls out a Mourinho performance.
I know this is the thing. I'm not confident either. Hey, just before the Spurs game yesterday, we seen Liverpool. They come up against a really well organised West Ham side. They've been playing really well this year, West Ham. I think what you're going to get with Moyes' teams. I think to be fair, Moyes, he's put himself back on the map. He's found a team that suits him and stuff, and he's obviously had trouble since he left United. But it's almost like it's the happiest he's been and the most successful he's been since he's left Everton. So what they're going to get.
I think it's because he's came to a team that he's got back. He got back in the summer. He's able to sign a couple of signings. He's been able to deal with money that he's used to at Everton. Was at Everton for a long time. Yep. He came to United and he was probably given a blank checkbook and didn't know what to do. Yep. And he was coming out at a time that we were getting a new
that level. United.
I think he's found his level. He's found his level, which is a West Ham, Everton. I'm not dissing them clubs. I'm not dissing Moyes. When Moyes was at United, I must have been the only United fan asking for more time.
Yep.
But it's because it wasn't just. I'm not saying he was ready. He was ready for the job.
Yep.
Probably wasn't. It was handpicked, but he was third choice. He's got them playing the way. But it's because West Ham has finally backed him the right way. West Ham have been renowned for signing centre forwards after centre forward. However, this time, yes, they signed a centre forward, but he's trusting on players. He's constantly giving the boys the opportunity, and he's got them working in the way they should be working. And I looked at the table the other day and I was like, West Ham's fourth.
You know as well, when I look at it, right? See, when he came on at United, right? I think it was always going to be difficult after Ferguson, right? And first manager was always going to be compared to Ferguson. And, United wanted a bigger name as well. When Moyes come in, he was always up against it and start the fans that won him. And it's the same with Mourinho, right? The Spurs, right? The fans that won him. And he's constantly being compared to Pochettino. I think whoever comes in after Mourinho is going to get a much easier ride because they're going to look back at Mourinho's style of play and stuff, and it's going to be easier for the next manager. So I can understand the frustration with Moyes he had at United, but after United, it's as if his confidence lost. I mean, when Sociedad didn't work out.
That move on himself didn't help him at all.
No. But anyway,
he had no choice because he wasn't going to get touched in English football.
No. But getting back to him, right? I think at West Ham, he's found a level. He's found a team that suits him. He's recruited well. They're very hard to beat. They're really well organised. I thought in the first half, you say Liverpool hardly created a chance, and it wasn't because they were playing bad. West Ham are really, really tight and stuff, and when the ball did break the lines, the defender stepped out, pressed. It was really, really well organised. I think Salah's goal was a moment of real quality, and it changed the game. West Ham became a bit more open then because they were chasing the game, and Liverpool's second goal was incredible. It was out of this world. Like, and Salah's first touch and finish, the pass from security, and then the third goal was really well worked. And obviously, I was on the show on. I was on the two boys here, and we were looking back at the Spurs Liverpool game, and we were sort of we all agreed that a lot of people got carried away after the Spurs game when they were saying about Liverpool were really, really good. Thought they played well to a certain extent, but Spurs gifted them the goals. And you look at Spurs yesterday, Brighton, it was easy for them. So, but I think that was a different level of performance yesterday. The 3 goals they scored were real, real quality, and they had to play much better. They weren't going to get the gifts that Spurs give them. West Ham made them work hard for their goals. So, do you sort of sense that they're back to their best or near that level again, going forward, especially?
I'm stipping what me talk about Liverpool. So see, when it comes to Liverpool, if Salah's performing, there's a confidence throughout that team.
Just actually, if I wrote down here on my page, I say, do you feel that he's the most irreplaceable out of that front three? That he's the boy they have to keep no matter what. He scores all the goals. He scores the most goals. Yes, he might take the most shots, and he is a bit greedy, but he produces. I think it's 20 plus goals in the Premier League, 4 seasons in a row. The first player at Liverpool to do that since Ian Rush. So that's.
And when he was first signed, remember that first season he had? He was a 1-season wonder.
Remember what I said? He's really produced. You look at Manny. I think Manny can be great to watch, and he plays with a smile on his face, but he doesn't get the numbers Salah does, especially season on, season out. And Firmino, we know what he's like. He's a good link-up player. He mightn't score as many goals, but very hard to replace Salah. Them goals from that right-hand side, isn't
it? It's hard to look there. If Liverpool lose him on the summer, say for instance, who out there is going to make the same statement?
Yep.
How are they going to bring somebody on that's going to put up the same numbers as Mohamed Salah and not even do that? Who's going to actually contribute as much to Liverpool's team? It's not about scoring or assisting. If you look at his work rate, that's why he's classified as a winger. I was having a discussion with actually Dean, who was on the show on Friday, about Salah. He put on the statistic you talked about at the start about Ryan Giggs, and I was just saying, Mohamed Salah, yes, he's a winger, but he's a modern day forward.
He's a tuck down that side and he just dropped about them. But the one thing you were saying about his workout was really good. I think he gave the ball away at one stage yesterday and he chased the whole way back to the corner. And do you know what as well? I was saying about them being back to their best, right? You look at Liverpool this year, they have had problems, and Klopp's been really, really, really tested. Guardiola's had problems up front with a striker. Liverpool's problems have been at the back. Man City's problems have been up front and playing a new striker. But I think that's why them two are the best coaches in the league by a million miles, because no matter what problems seem to be thrown in front of them, they continue to find ways for the team to keep winning and keep getting results.
But is this why Klopp could be better than Pep? Because if you look at Pep's situation last year, he had the same issues that Klopp's having at the minute with defence. And yes, this season, it's at the opposite ends of the field. However, we've seen in many years now past it. You don't need a number 9 to score goals. Mohamed Salah isn't a striker. He's a modern day striker. So it's a statement of That's probably why they are the best coaches in the league, if potentially not one of the best two in the world, because they can adapt. Adapt to what they have. What is it? Something like 14 different parents that Klopp has.
12, 13, 14, something like that. I think it might be 12. Don't quote me on that, but I'm nearly sure I've seen yesterday. It's 12 different centre back partnerships. It's incredible. I think as well, when you were saying about Man City last year, City still got 81 points last year. I mean, Liverpool finished with 99 points. There was no way City were going to get them points with that defence. It's like expect Liverpool to get 99 points this year with that defence. It's not going to happen. So I think as well, Klopp, Guardiola was, obviously they didn't win the league last year and they had problems at the back, but still finished second, and they were, they still finished a long way ahead of third and fourth. So they were Liverpool were so good last year. City were going to have to get them the points they were getting.
But were Liverpool so good and the rest of them so poor? Yeah, that's the question you have to ask. Look.
You've avoided that question too.
So
I was just saying that, do you think Liverpool are getting back to their best, or do you still think they have to prove it against Man City?
I thought I was getting away with it.
I don't forget. I'm
experienced. No, I still think they're
20 a show. I'm getting experience now. I know what I'm doing.
They're coming round to themselves.
Yep.
I think the problem with them was their issues with their defense. They lost their main player.
Yep.
And it's not to say it's different when a player's out for 4 weeks. He's out for the majority of the season.
Yep.
And it's difficult for the players' mentality alone. And then their other centre half went in the same week. Yep. So it's difficult, but
really bad luck.
They look better against West Ham. However, I agree with you. They didn't look too good against Spurs. Spurs gifted them the one.
First 20 minutes, you thought Spurs could have beat them.
If Spurs had a score, if that Son goal had stood,
different game.
It would have been a far different game.
Yeah.
So, but they're getting better, and there was obviously that BT argument between Crouchy and Rio. Rio reckons United's going to finish ahead of Liverpool, and Crouchy thinks the other way around. I don't think any United fan would think after the last 7 years, and especially after Liverpool won the title, that United was going to finish ahead of Liverpool. And the last 2 weeks have proved that. However, as I said before,
just before we get on, I don't know if you've seen today that Liverpool looks like they're going to sign 2 centre backs. The first one being the young boy from Preston, Davis. It's a cheap deal. I think it's maybe one for the future. The other one's coming out today is Kabak from Schalke. Now I don't know much about him. He's Turkish. Apparently Liverpool have been tracking him for quite some time. As you say, it's what's coming out of the club. I'm not so sure if maybe they had him scouting him, but the fact they've waited this long to go and get him, I think if they had wanted him, they'd have went and got him a few weeks ago. So I think maybe
they would have got him at the start of January. Yeah.
No doubt they've been watching him, but whether they believed in him totally was another thing. We'll see now when he comes in. I believe it's a loan deal. With an option they buy at the end of the season. So again, a loan deal tells you that they're going to judge him on these next 4 months or so before they go and pay the money. I think it's around 25-30 million. So do you think that's, well, as you say, we don't know much about them, but you would think that gives them a bit more of a chance at the back, and they'll have a bit more strength and depth.
I think it's strength and depth. I don't think it's the players that they wanted. It's as you say, it's bringing people on for cover because they've been okay so far with Fabinho, but now he's injured, and then Rashford left that young fella for dead, so I don't think he'll get a snuff of the team anytime soon. So
Liverpool
it's hard to know.
They play Brighton this week on Wednesday. I think Man City play Burnley on Wednesday as well. That's going to be a big one. You'd expect both teams to win. Obviously, take the for granted, as you said, this league's crazy this year. But if they won that, they'll go toe-to-toe on Sunday. Man City I think they're 4 points ahead, but they played a game less. So you really do think that's a must-not-lose game. If that was to go to 7 points, City have that game in hand. It's it's a long way back at that stage, isn't it?
It's a long way back. It comes down to the last 2 seasons. 2 seasons ago, it was always that game between Man City and Liverpool. And the same as last year, it seems to come down to them. It's a massive game for Liverpool. Signing the defenders will give the players a wee bit of reassurance. We have depth here, but that young fella from Preston, I think, over there, pause myself, need to charge myself there.
Right.
I think that young fella from Preston, I think they might have signed him anyway. Maybe not in the summer, However, the boy from, where'd you say, Schalke, was it?
Schalke, Quebec. Don't know much about him, to be honest.
But does it not remind you of a gal last year at United? Out of nowhere?
I don't know where. And they've just walked out and they need to get somebody in. And as you say, the finances aren't going to be sorted until the summer. And you say if they don't believe in him, they might just send him back to Schalke. I think Mustafi's going to be Schalke. They cover.
I see that.
Arsenal fans are probably most happy with this deal than anyone, getting rid of him. But going to move on. That's going to be a big game, so I'm looking forward to it. But the other team I've sort of looked at that I thought could challenge this year was yourselves, Christy, United. But you know what? I've been disappointed because you know what? I really wanted. I know City, Liverpool have won it, and City have won it, and I really wanted Ollie to stick two fingers up to the media and go on and win it. The last few games have sort of lost any belief that they will, but Roy Keane was very critical on Saturday of them. He said he thinks that they're scared of a title fight. What would your reaction to that be?
He's scared of just being a manager, up man. You have to look at it from a perspective, as you say, the Sheffield United game was just an upset. It's just one of them things that happens.
Yeah.
The game against Arsenal, we had they react. Yeah. There was no urgency whatsoever. It's frustrating from a fan's perspective, but I think from a player's perspective too. You know, you've seen the minute this season, we've celebrated results with each other on the pitch, and it's like, right, we believe here, we believe that we're improving, and out of nowhere, the belief has just sunk. But honestly, I was talking about it today, and I don't think it was the Sheffield United game that done it for us. I think it was the Liverpool in the league. We played Liverpool back to back on the league and then the FA Cup. In the FA Cup, there was always going to be goals. However, in the league, we should have responded. We should have reacted. Liverpool were the most vulnerable they could ever be at Anfield, and we didn't perform.
I look at it both. I look at it two ways, because right, you think about Liverpool, right? That game, they're missing a lot of players. Arsenal are missing a lot of players as well. They're three of their main players are missing. You think about, draws away at them teams aren't disasters, but you think of the situation that they were in, with their full strength teams go there and make a statement. And I've just wrote down here this year, look, they haven't been a top 6 team at all this year, home or away.
With the new Arsenal,
I do sense that there's a lack of mentality, like a lack of winning mentality, that they believe they can go to these places and win. I know they've done it before, but I mean the crunch games, like the FA Cup semi-finals, the League Cup semi-finals, the big Champions League games. These games now this season, do you think there's a block, a mentality block when they go to these games that we're not that good, or we don't believe we can win? What do you think it is?
There is definitely something. The mentality, the many semi-finals we've lost under Ollie is insane. You say it's mentality, or do you say it's ability? It's the way you look at it. Manchester United were top of the league, and from a Manchester United fan, I was laughing. I was like, we don't even play that well.
No, I haven't been a United fan yet that actually, well, apart from maybe Zach. Zach's been pretty confident, but most of them actually said to me, even when they went to the top league, they never had any belief they're going to want to win it. So that tells you something.
Oh, well, I would have bit it about saying we're going to win the league. However, if you look at the performances, there's a lack. Even though we scored goals, there's still a lack of urgency for 80% of the game. We never controlled. And you fall back to the Frank Lampard statement. Can a Manchester United fan sit down and say what Ollie's identity of football is? I couldn't.
You think that they rely on individual brilliance a lot from Fernandes or Pogba?
And they do. And Fernandes, we could be here all day talking about Bruno Fernandes and my opinion of him. However, they do rely on brilliance. However, we have about 9 players in a starting 11 that is good enough. They won that league. However, we have about 12, 13. You look at that 13th man, you're not, who you looking to? Juan Mata, been there, done that, done. Signed him a deal because we have no depth. Daniel James isn't getting a snuff. And then you still play Martial. I was chatting to a fella there earlier. Martial's finished.
Martial's been there too long now. He's never really produced it consistently, and I think
Martial was going to be the next Terry Henry.
I think they're stuck him because they paid so much money for him. They're probably looking at what's the point in selling him for cheap money when we paid a lot of money. So, but as you say,
he must be a superstar. He must be like Cristiano Ronaldo in the training ground.
You know what, Christy, as well? I can sort of, I don't like to compare too much because it is different teams, different managers. But I can relate. No, you can relate to me, but I can relate to you now because I sort of see a lot of Pochettino and Spurs and Ole United. Maybe there was different styles of play, but even when they played well, they got results. And then when they came to a big moment, you thought, right, this is it. And then they would shock defeat out of nowhere, like a Sheffield United. And they would, when they were challenging Leicester, challenging Chelsea, shock defeat. And you sort of feel like, oh, we threw that away. Went to a big game away from home or a home game at home against one of the big six. And you would play all right, but never really believe you could win. And you go, oh, that's the last opportunity. And you look at them games, actually, you look at it two ways against Liverpool and Arsenal, right? They haven't played that well. They had the better chances in both games. If they had to seize them moments and won the games, we wouldn't even be talking about it. Because saying Ollie masterclass, kept it tight, waited for his moments, and so you can look at it two ways. But it does seem like there's a lack of belief there. I do think it was more than yes.
The Liverpool game was hard to go about because Liverpool, they're so. It was always going to be they're so weak, vulnerable. The whole lot. United's something to prove.
Yep.
United were always going to go out and try and sit behind it and sort of on the attack and counter-attack football. However, Arsenal 4 weeks ago, Arsenal were on the relegation battle. So to take away their change of form or not, as you say, they're missing three key players. Manchester United as a top four or a title challenger should have went out and made a statement. Even if that statement had been a 2-0 with a VAR penalty and a goal, but we never even took control of the game or nothing. We never took it to Arsenal. And if we had went out and put four past them, which the statement should have been, and Manchester United have the players to do that, but we don't do it. We just don't go out and do it. It seems if Bruno Fernandes doesn't feel like it, Manchester United don't feel like it. And Bruno Fernandes hasn't been feeling like it since about Christmas.
Just to sort of wrap us up, because we have chatted about Fernandes about a lot. But we all know he's a great player. But the one thing I ask you is Ollie. Where do you see yourself? Yourself as with Ollie. Do you think he needs to win a trophy this season as well as top four, or would you go again next year if it was just top four, no trophy?
I think fourth isn't good enough. I think we have to go for third, guy. We have to try. I know we're not. We've faded away from this. We've faded away from this title challenge.
I know what you mean. You think you need to be closer to the top two? Just to say
we need to be. If come end of March, middle of March, so Paddy's Day sort of thing, April. If we're still in touching distance, or even if we're 6-9 points away, that's a bigger gap. That's such a small gap, and last year's massive gap. And we had a statement. We challenged up until now. We still are challengers. We still are in touching distance. So I think fourth, getting into yourself into a top four scrap like last year isn't good enough. But if he makes top four, he'll keep his job. However, this year, after the PSG game, the first PSG game, we thought we were going to do well in the Champions League. Now we're in the Europa League. Made a semi-final of the Europa League last year and the FA Cup. So he needs to make a final for definite. And at the end of the day, it comes down to whatever happens in finals happens in finals. As long as he's got himself secured top four, but I'm saying it has to be top three for me.
Would you agree with Carragher that they shouldn't get too obsessed with looking at closer to Liverpool and City? They should look at it more that we've missed an opportunity because Liverpool and City are going to be a lot better next year. Do you look at it that way?
Definitely, I agree with him 100%. Yes, it's good. We've finally, after 7 years, I know we came second on the Mourinho, but we were still way off the mark. But after 7 years, we're closer to the top. Yeah. Very, very in the middle of the season, early in the season and the middle of the season. We previously, come Christmas, Manchester United are no longer going to win the league. We're in the top four. Yeah. But it's hard to come away from that thinking about the top two. There's a reason there's top twos and top fours and top sixes. That's what you aim. You aim to be that level. However, he's right. We have missed an opportunity. We missed an opportunity of going 9 points clear of Liverpool. They were second at the time. But just, but now we're potentially, they're going to go ahead of us during the week because it's probably going to get beside something like.
Before we get into the predictions for this week, how do you see it going for the rest of the season? Who do you think is going to win it? And who do you think is going to finish in the top four?
I think it's City's to lose.
Yeah. So you fancy City?
Man City's definitely to lose. It's their league to lose. There'll be a battle between Liverpool and United for second and third.
Yeah.
Liverpool will take it based on the fact that they have better ability in the whole team. They've been there. They fought that team now. Champions League, 2 Champions League finals. Won the league. They've been there. They know the mentality. I'm not saying United players don't know the mentality. It's just a lack of experience. United will finish third. I think Mourinho pulled it out of the bag. I think he will.
Mourinho pulled it out of the bag. Well, hey, do you know what? If you're on this show, well, I'll tell you what, I'll get you back on and you see if you come back on.
I do. I think Mourinho pulled it out of the bag. I think it'll come down to the last 4 or 5 games.
Even if Spurs losing on Thursday, Mourinho still be able to turn it around.
Mourinho, he's the man on masterclass, like, isn't he? It's hard to know, guy. It's hard to know, but I do think Spurs will be up there because even before Christmas, before United took the top spot, I was destined. I thought Mourinho's going to do it. Spurs are going to do it. You know what I mean?
I never believed that at all.
I thought you were, but you thought back 4 or 5 weeks ago, guy. You were playing, as you say, I
thought top 4.
You were playing better football.
I thought 4 or 5 weeks ago, top 4 was a cert. Never really thought we'd won the league. I thought top 4.
But who's going to finish top 4? Are you saying Leicester's going to finish ahead of us?
At the moment, I would put Leicester ahead of us.
See, after yesterday's performance, I look at Leicester and I say there's definitely a couple more slips on you yet. I think it's
them, but I still think they're consistent enough that they'll be up there challenging. I think Chelsea's dangerous now under Tuchel. Arsenal, I don't know whether they can keep it going, but they're looking dangerous.
Arsenal finished the Liverpool League, the football. I think it's hard to know. I think it's between Leicester, Spurs, and Chelsea. United and Dev probably will get themselves dragged on it. And if they do get themselves dragged on it, it's as Jim McCarger said, it's an opportunity must. We should be getting ourselves dragged on who's going to win the league, not the top 4. And Southampton is a massive game, massive.
Let's get into this now, right? So Tuesday games, 6 o'clock, Sheffield United against West Brom, big game at the bottom. Frankly, Brighton's result. This is a must-win for both. Well, Sheffield United and West Brom, you think they're in a must-win every game now. The fact they're playing each other, must-win. How do you see it going?
2-1 Sheffield United.
They're probably in a better form at the moment, and they were unlucky against they done alright against Man City 1-0. Wolves against Arsenal. Wolves are in wretched form at the moment. Arsenal seem to be flying. How do you see that going?
I think I got a stalemate on it. Hey, we won each or something. We draw 100%.
Draw. And to say Sheffield against West Brom, I think that'll be 2-1 Sheffield as well. I fancy Sheffield won that. Wolves against Arsenal. I think Wolves at the minute. You think if you score 1 goal against them, that'll be enough. So I am gonna go 1-0 Arsenal. I think they'll just have enough to get past them. United against Southampton, 8 o'clock. Well, 8:15 tomorrow night. How do you see that going? Before you start, I actually think you're hitting Southampton at a good time. They look very tired. Their squads got done with injuries. I watched them against Villa, and Villa were much a better side. I know Southampton had a couple of decisions go against them, but I watched them against Arsenal. Arsenal, I played them too for most of the game. And I think they're looking at the cups as well. I think they're in decent league position that they're looking at the cup games. They've got that big game next week in the cup against Wolves. I think they're just looking to just maybe finish mid-table and have a cup run. So I think it's a good time for them to hit them. And I'm going to go United 3-1.
I was just about to say it. I see it's conceding, but I think we'll make a statement tomorrow night. 3-1.
3-1. I think it's a must-win if you're going to stay in the title challenge. It has to go on.
Has to be.
Newcastle against Palace. Newcastle pulled a fucking great result out of the back against Everton. I did not see that coming at all. They played well as well. It wasn't like it was a fluke result. Everton didn't really turn up. But you think with Everton as well, every time they put themselves in a good position, they've got that Everton, that Spursiness about them. They just always seem to fall apart. So again, maybe other people could have seen it coming, but I didn't see it coming, to be honest, the way Newcastle are playing. Home against Palace. I can't see it being a classic, but how do you see it going?
That's got a serious 0-0 run all over.
I agree 100%. I can see a 0-0 all over it as well.
Either that or Palace is going to put 3 or 4 past them and we'll be slagging Craig later on.
Not that team anymore. I think they don't score as many goals as they used to.
It's got a 0-0 written over it.
Every game I've watched Palace this year, it's been a really poor game of football. Every game I've seen them, and it's just they lower teams to their level and just rely on Zaha to counter attack. So 6 o'clock on Wednesday, Burnley against Man City. How do you see that going? Man City have won their last 9 league games, I think.
It's about 4-0 Man City.
Oh, 4-0. I think Burnley's playing decent. No, they always be better second half of the season, Burnley, and it's never an easy place to go. City will be tested. I think this will be a tight game. I'm gonna go 2-1 Man City. I think they'll just have enough. I think it'll be tight, Fulham
I don't
again.
know. I think Man City will score. I think they'll score one, and then Burnley will go for it, and they'll just bam bam.
The City are winning games differently this year. I know they've had the odd result where they've hammered a team, but generally they've been winning 1-0 and 2-0 games. So I'm gonna go
Saturday, for example, everybody would expect them to put 4 or 5 past bottom week Sheffield United.
Scored inside the first 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So, Fulham against Leicester. It should be entertaining. Fulham always seem to have a go, and that might be the Leicester advantage here. I think. I know Vardy's injured. I don't know when he's going to be back, but Leicester, you see when Leeds sat back and they struggled. So Fulham will probably go at them. For that reason, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Leicester victory.
No, 2-1. 2-1. 2-1 Leicester. Fulham will score first though.
Leeds against Everton, 7:30. Leeds have turned the corner and only had a bit of a sticky patch, but I think they had that wee bit of a break with the FA Cup and stuff, and they had a game called off against Southampton because they had to play a rescheduled game. So you think that they were running out of steam, but they've been able to get a wee bit of a rest, I think, and that's really helped them to come back and beat Newcastle. They beat Leicester, great result. And I think at home to Everton here, I think Everton's very up and down. They're one team, they're 1 week they're beating teams, and then the next week they're getting bit. They're very hard to predict. But I'm going to go for an entertaining 2-2 draw.
I was just about to say the same thing myself, 2 each. And the end stuff, guy. I think so. Patrick Bamford, they score first anyway. That's the inside.
Villa against West Ham. How do you see that going? 2 teams that are doing really, really well, punching above their weight, you would think. How do you see that going?
It's got a West Ham 1 over, probably a wee 1-0.
Villa are like my second team this year. I always love every team. There's always a year that you sort of you enjoy watching them. Not that, I mean, if they get bit, you don't really care, but you just like to see them do well. And I see the same thing happening here. I think they're going to dominate West Ham completely and then get sucker punched by a corner or something. I'm going to go for a 1-0 away one. Hope Villa can beat them because I love watching them play, but I just think West Ham might do a number on them. What did you say? What did you predict?
1-0 West Ham too.
1-0 West Ham. Liverpool against Brighton. 8:15 Wednesday night. This will be interesting because I think Liverpool, the last few games, not that they've had an easy ride, because West Ham are very difficult to break down, but Liverpool played 2 teams that sat back. Brighton might have a go with them. They're going to be open at the back, and that'll be probably the reason they lose, but I think they might give them a bit more to think about going forward. Brighton only have one way of playing, and big fan of Graham Potter. I think he's done a really, really good job. I've got a funny feeling this is going to be a lot tighter than people think, but I'm going to go for an entertaining 3-2 Liverpool 1.
That's a big shoot, 5 goals, guy.
No, I just think Brighton sometimes they do struggle to score goals, but they can take their chances. I think this could be quite entertaining, and I just have no confidence in their defence. So I'm going to go for entertaining 3-2 Liverpool 1.
I'm going to go for a 1 each.
1-1 draw.
A 1-1 draw, guy.
And then moving on to the highlight of the weekend.
A Brighton penalty in the 89th minute.
And then we're going to move on to they're calling it the big game, but it's a big game for Spurs. It's a big game for Chelsea, but this is the Thursday night game this week, headlined again, BT, 8 o'clock. Can't say I'm dying. I'm really looking forward to it. But, as always, I'll be sitting in front of the TV, hoping
behind the sofa.
But we're sort of touching this already, but just to reiterate, what do you think the score will be?
3-1 Chelsea.
I'm going to go 3-0 Chelsea. I think Spurs struggle completely here, and I think Chelsea's going to make a statement victory. I love to say I fancy Spurs, but I have to be honest, I just don't see it. But Christy, hey, thanks very much for coming on. Really enjoyed the show. Some really good insight from yourself, and I'll definitely have you back on again. Hopefully we can get back on the pitch coaching again when this lockdown's over.
100%, guys. Cheers. Hey, enjoyed it big time.
Man, Christy, thanks very much. I'll see you again.
Right. United for a title, boys.